Alright, what is up guys? Mr. Gruesome here, back for another video, and welcome back to another Morbid Month. And welcome to Morbid Month, September 2018. And if you don't know what Morbid Month is, it's where I take all the scary videos I've done this month and compile them into one long video so that if you've missed any or if you're just too lazy, you can just watch this one. So, let's just jump right into Morbid Month, September 2018. My friend started playing Fortnite since the middle of Season 2. I'll just jump in. A couple of days ago, my friend was playing Fortnite. He was playing duo matches, he was playing with random people. I would have played with him, but it was already 10 o'clock at night, and I was extremely tired. Anyway, a guy named Stalker79 or something like that joined his party, and my friend tried to talk to him, but he wouldn't answer. When he joined the match, the server was empty. The person he was playing with looked at him and didn't look away. The match never started. About 3 minutes went by. And the man whispered into his mic, "If you kill me, I kill you." And the match started, and they were both on different teams now, but still the only people in the server. My friend played the match super creeped out, occasionally hearing metal being scraped against metal from the man's mic. There was a minute left in the match, and my friend finally cracked of boredom. He pulled out a rocket launcher and destroyed the support of the huge building the man was making, causing the whole thing to get destroyed from the bottom up. Then pulled out a SCAR and shot at least 100 rounds at him, eventually killing the man. The man said, "Why did you do that? You asked for it." My friend, scared to death, left the match and started texting me what happened. I was terrified when he told me. The next day, I was about to start my walk to school, which was only a quarter-mile away, and when I walked out my front door, I saw 3 police cars and an ambulance at my friend's house. His parents standing outside the house, and his mom crying, and his dad trying to comfort her. I ran after them and said, "What the hell was going on?" She told me how she was calling him for breakfast and he wouldn't come down, and when she went in, she saw him. Blood covering his shirt and his face expressing fear, surprise, and terror all at once, like the victims' faces in rings. Hearing this, I ran to my house in fear, knowing my friend was killed. I was paralyzed in bed, thinking about what he had told me the night before. Then I thought, it was that man. That man killed my friend. This angered me. So now, I'm coming for the bastard who murdered my best friend. My old college roommate has a knack for adventures, and he was always looking for cool places to explore. In the hall outside the cafeteria, there was this big metal latch on the ground, and naturally, he tried to open it. It wasn't locked. He immediately came back to the dorms to tell me about it, and we decided that night, when no one was around, we would go down there. Night came and we went inside. There was a small ladder with about 10 steps, which led to one long pitch black tunnel, so we got our phones for lighting. At first, we were super disappointed. We walked to the end of the tunnel and it just dead-ended. Nothing of interest. That is, until we noticed a small door down near our feet, a little bigger than half our size, and wouldn't you know that it was also unlocked. Naturally, we had to go further. This new area was a lot smaller. It wasn't so small that we were crawling, but our knees couldn't fully extend. This new area was a lot larger too. It was a series of veiny tunnels that all strung together. We were down there for a solid half an hour exploring. We ran across a few doors, but they were all locked. Then we turned down this one tunnel, and it felt like that area in the beginning of Ocarina of Time, when you're first learning you can crawl through holes. Just a small hole that was big enough to crawl through. We shined our lights down it, and it wasn't very long. We'd only be crawling for a few seconds before arriving at the other side. We knew we had to do it, and so we got on our hands and knees and crawled on in there. The other side had one corner and then a door. Naturally, we tried to open it, and this one was unlocked. It honestly may not seem freaky just reading, but there was this wave of discomfort that washed over us. We opened the door and we found a small room. In the middle of the room was a table and a single chair, with one very dimly lit lantern sitting on the table. My buddy and I took one look at each other and noped the fuck out of there. We went as fast as we could through the crawly hole, through the small tunnels into the big tunnel, and back up the ladder. I know that the room was probably just some maintenance room or something like that, but something about that dimly lit lantern sitting on that lone table in the middle of the pitch black room will always stick with me, like something straight out of a horror movie. It was the middle of summer. Ah yes, summer. What every child dreams for after a long day of school. Well, that's what John thought until today. Let me explain. John sat on his bed, bored of course. "There isn't anything to do," screamed John. John's parents weren't home, so he didn't care how loud he was. He sat there, dreaming he was in a dune buggy, driving across a plain old field of sand. But all he had was an Xbox One. He sat there pondering what he could do. After a long time, he decided to play some Fortnite. He was level 41 in tier 34. So officially, he wasn't considered a noob, more of a bush camper. He got on, not knowing what was next. He checked to see if any of his friends were online. They weren't. Then his iPhone rang. Odd, a random number. He just ignored it. When he got into a round, everything seemed normal. Then the number called again, so he ignored it again. He went along with the round and got an amazing 13 kill streak. But the last kill ran a chill down his spine. The person he killed had the same name as the number that called him. He had a weird-looking skin. A smiling man. He had clothes that matched John's shirt and pants that he had on right now. A little freaked out, he just went along with it. His phone rang again. It was the same number. Hello? John said, scared. "I'm not a noob. I'm not a noob. I'm not a noob, you hear?" the rough voice said. John hung up. He looked at the screen and found that he had been killed by a player named I'm Not a Noob. He quit the game and went under his blankets. After his phone rang for about the 100th time, he answered. What do you want from me?" he yelled into the phone. "I want for you to look out your window," he said. John went up to the window and saw him. The same clothes he had on, and the last person he had killed. He had an ugly smile on. Why do you want me?" John said. "All I want to do is play Fortnite together. And if you don't, I will always be there, watching you, killing you." The man started to laugh. John hung up and called the police. "Help me, there's a crazy man outside. He wants to kill me," John screamed into the phone. That was the moment when he looked up again and lost sight of him, and heard his bedroom door slowly opening. The policeman arrived and saw the boy perfectly fine. "Oh, I'm sorry, mister. My brother was playing a trick on me." The policeman left quickly as he had arrived. When he got back to his room, he played Fortnite with his friends and said, "I'm not a noob. I'm not a noob. I'm not a noob. You hear?" Have you ever feared that anything you do, or anywhere you go, has a darker side to it? Well, get ready for this creepypasta. His daughter came home with a weird doll that day. She seemed pretty excited about it. He was happy that she was happy. But there was something about the doll. Whenever he saw the doll, whether it was lying in the living room or his daughter's room, it always looked as though it was staring at him. Its eyes were so real. He could not shake the feeling that they were following him, those big, brown eyes. He found the doll lying on the table one day and found that its eyes were bloodshot. That couldn't have been possible. It was a doll. It wasn't alive. It was a doll. At that very moment, his daughter flounced in and grabbed the doll. "Look, Daddy," she said, "I drew on her eyes," and she skipped away giggling. One day, the father heard loud thumping noises from his daughter's room. He ran to her room and found her playing with the doll, with a newly formed scratch on her cheek. He asked her how she got it. "Oh, it just happened while I was playing with Dolly." He left the room, perturbed. He was perturbed because he had noticed how weird he felt when the doll was around. He had noticed how strangely attached to the doll his daughter was, and how strange the doll's eyes were. What he did not notice, however, was a small, squeaky, broken voice, whimpering the words, "Don't go, please." "Shh, little Dolly," said the little girl. "We don't want Daddy to ruin our play." It's time to kill the President of the United States of America. Now, how far is Washington, D.C. from here? Doesn't matter. I'll get there eventually. Alright, now I'm just gonna fly away from this mess. Ha! He's still a weakling. Alright, let's go. Oh, what the fuck? Why can't I see anything? I can't move either. What the fuck? Shut your bitch ass up. Who said that? Who's there? What did I just say? Fuck you, where am I? Why, you're in the purgatory, of course. The purgatory? The fuck is the purgatory? Why, it's just a little black, empty little pocket dimension that I created. You created this? Wait, who are you? Why, I'm God, of course. Holy shit, you're real? You died and went to hell, and you're asking if I'm real? Point made. But why the fuck am I here? Because you're a worthless piece of shit that doesn't even deserve to rot in hell. You're a psychotic maniac, and you kill whoever you want to kill. You even murdered your own mother. And for what? All because of a game of fucking Fortnite? Shut up, you don't know the real reason why. Okay, if I don't, then explain the real reason to me. It's not just because of Fortnite. It's because I enjoyed every second of it. And that's why you deserve to stay here. Wait, you mean stay here? I mean, you're never leaving here. No, I'll find a way out somehow. No, you won't. There is no exit. But how will you get out? Dumbass, I'm God. I'll make my own exit. But for you, you're gonna stay here and think about what you have done, and it's gonna tear you up on the inside. I don't feel sorry for any of it. You know, you're not the only one that has gotten out of hell. Like that guy I killed, did he get out of hell? No. I let him out of heaven to kill you. You see, you killed his sister while he was dead, and he wanted revenge. But the little bitch was too weak, and I enjoyed killing him and his sister. And that's why you're staying. Whatever. You won't be saying that in about 5 seconds. Why is that? Because I'm about to leave, and you're gonna stay here. No, no, no! Don't you dare leave. Don't you fucking dare! Goodbye, Ryan Downing Matthews. You are going to stay here for all eternity. No! What do I do now? All those people that I killed. What have I done? I even killed Mom. Why? All because of fucking Fortnite? Fuck that game. Why? I'm a monster. I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve to stay here for all eternity to atone for what I've done. When I was younger, probably around 7 maybe, I honestly don't remember. My brother and I had a strange encounter in our basement. We were playing in our basement one day when, out of the blue, I got that weird feeling in your gut, the one where something just feels off. Well, I left my brother on the one side of the room and went to go around the corner when I saw this weird swirling thing. I called my brother over and we just stared at it for a minute. We both swear that we saw a swirling black vortex. This vortex to me was also slightly transparent. As soon as we saw this, we noped right out and said to each other that we should get out of our basement. As we got up a few steps, we looked behind us and thought we saw a black cat looking at us from around the corner. But this wasn't the case. This thing wasn't a cat. It was pitch black, had red eyes, and was some sort of monkey. We ran up those fucking steps as fast as we could. We closed the door behind us, and we both swear we heard that thing make contact with it. That is the only experience I have had, but my mom said that she had a dream where she saw a Native American tribe get slaughtered on our property. She said that she felt really upset and apologized to them. She also said that the tribe had something to do with a turtle symbol. Speaking of the Native Americans, we actually found quite a bit of arrowheads on our property, as well as this weird stone that my dad found in the woods. The stone looks like it has ears or maybe horns on them, but I think what my brother and I saw down in our basement is somehow connected to the Native American tribe. It happened when I was around 11 or 12. I was out with my friends. My parents were at work, so they dropped me off when I was going to my friends. After 2 hours of playing video games at my friend's house, I asked them if they can give me a ride home, and they said yeah. I didn't want to tell them exactly where I lived, so I told them to drop me off at the gas station, a block away from our house. Once we arrived, I started walking home. I was about 15 minutes away from my house. I noticed out of the corner of my eye a man was watching me. He just kept staring as I walked along. He started to slowly walk as well. I didn't think much of it as I figured he was going to his house as well. I just wanted to get home, so I started speed walking. I noticed the man slowly sped up as well. I didn't know what he was doing. I just continued to walk faster. Eventually, I saw the man cross the road, and I didn't know where he went. I looked behind me, and there he was. I tried to jog, but the man started jogging as well. I just said to myself that I should just run, but he caught up to me. I didn't know what to do. He started to squeeze my arm tighter. I tried to fight back, but I didn't know where he was taking me, and I sure as hell know I didn't want to find out. I tried to kick him and punch him, but it didn't work, and I'm guessing I made his arm tired after all the punching, because after the last couple of punches I threw to his arm, he let me go, and so I bolted. He was running at full speed, I think, and there were cars passing by my road, so he stopped running, but he continued to follow. I jumped my fence gate and tried to go through my doggy door in the back, and once I got inside my house, I called the cops and told them what happened. Once they got here and searched around, they didn't find him, and so I was left knowing he had escaped. And I pray to God that I never, ever have to experience something like that, ever, again. Have you ever feared that anything you do, or anywhere you go, has a darker side to it? Well, get ready for this Fortnite creepypasta. It's been about 2 weeks since my friend was killed, and all I had to go on was the guy who killed him's Fortnite username, Stalker79, and then I found a trace of him online. At first, I went onto Google and I searched for days, but I couldn't find anything. Then something came to thought. The deep web. I know it was risky, but it was my only option. The cops weren't doing anything, so I downloaded Tor and went on the deep web. I put on all the precautionary measures I could find so that I wouldn't be hacked or seen through my webcam. I got the best VPN and virus protection I could, and after all that, I went onto the deep web. I searched around the deep web for hours upon hours upon hours until I came across something. His username. I found out his real name was Sam Harper. And so, to get revenge for the death of my friend, I hired a hitman on him, using my parents' credit card. After I paid the hitman, I had to wait a few days to get the results. After a couple of days, I get a text on my phone saying that your hitman is dead. I didn't know who this was until I realized that it was Sam Harper, the same guy who killed my friend. After I realized that, I went onto Fortnite and I invited him to a party. I yelled into my mic that I'm going to kill him if it's the last thing I do. He chuckled and said, "Give it your best shot, and also, you're next." And he then left and blocked me. And so now, I'll just let him come to me. I have my dad's gun, loaded and ready to shoot. And so now, I'm just waiting to kill the guy who murdered my best friend. I'm being watched. Everywhere I look, there's a red light pointed at me. This has been happening for years, but I've actually seen them. The men with the blue hoodies. This all started to happen when I was 7 years old. Back then, my family was in a sort of a financial situation, as my mom had to leave her job because they weren't giving her any hours. My mom, my 2 older brothers, and I lived in this sweet little motor lodge with a community pool and cable channels that got all the kids' channels. We had 2 rooms which we kept nice and tidy since, we called it home. Every day, my brothers and I would chill at the pool, messing around and doing what kids do. One day, I had gotten out into the pool before my brother could get dressed, and I was out in the pool, swimming alone. There were 2 very fine-looking women just sunbathing on the side of the pool, so I jumped in. The ladies soon joined me into the pool and struck up a conversation with me. Only one of them talked, so we'll just call her Lily. Lily asked how old I was, and I proudly told them I'm 7.5 now, and the 2 ladies giggled. Lily then asked me another slew of questions, most of which I don't remember now, except for, do you like having your picture taken? I thought about it for a short bit, and I told them that I loved being in the spotlight. Well, your picture is going to be seen by hundreds of people. Say cheese. I smiled, and the flash of the camera blinded me for what seemed like a minute or so. And when I opened my eyes, the ladies were gone, and my brother came into the pool. And that's when my other brother came into the pool, and they both asked if I was okay, and to not run into the pool like that. Ever since that event, I've always felt watched. Definitely not by the same people, though. I didn't pay it much mind, as I was always walking about in the streets, and people were always watching you and all the other people on the sidewalk, until I found the deep web. My brothers had told me about this secret internet where I could find alien sightings, and of course I believed them. This was a few years later, when I knew much more about computers other than space pinball and Sonic comics. I learned more about this secret internet and found out about the deep web wiki. I was randomly clicking links trying to find something interesting, but not too interesting, and I came across this site called Candy Candy, It had a bright pink background with an Easter blue font for the words. The description of the site was a darker shade of blue though, and this is as it said. If you want to find any little boys, you've come to the right place. We have a variety to choose from. Fat, skinny, tall, short, infant. You want it? We got it. I was initially creeped out about it and decided to close my browser until a pop-up showed up saying, "Are you sure you want to leave?" But I didn't want to leave. I scrolled down and I wish I hadn't. I saw pictures of chained up and brutally abused boys under the age of 10. Each had the tag, taken. My mind told myself to leave and forget what happened, but I was fascinated. I kept scrolling down, cringing at all the pictures, until I saw me. There was a picture on the website of me at the pool. I looked at the tag of the picture, and it said, "For sale." I clicked the picture, and a summary popped up saying, "Aged at about 13 years old, black hair, hazel eyes, loves company." After I saw this horrifying description, I shut off my computer and forgot about it. I'm 15 now, and I found the website again, and immediately scrolled down to my picture, which was now a recent picture of me at the OBX beach in North Carolina. The tag now says, "Sold." When the Queen opened the Vestin outpost to the Guardians, we were all shocked. The only reason my fire team was able to go first is because the Queen summoned us on a special mission. There were 3 of us. I was paired up with 2 new Guardians, an EXO named Raven 13 of the Parax Order, and a hunter by the name of Valerie. Mercury was a planet that was completely controlled by the Vex, and the Queen wanted more information about Osiris, the warlock that went missing years ago. Many of us speculated that he went to Mercury in search of the Vex and their power, but I honestly assumed that he died years ago. We went to the exact coordinates that were given, and we found a spot to land in a lighthouse. The first thing we noticed is that it was vacant and almost completely void of life. If it wasn't for some of the structures and the equipment that was there, I would have thought that no one lived there at all. We found many halls that we assumed it was for studying, and we even found the remains of what appeared to be a Vanguard ship. We then found a room that reassembled an open bridge on the ship, and in the center of it was an ark similar to that of a religious relic called the Ark of the Covenant. Valerie inspected the ark along with all the shelves and bookcases with it. I noticed that when we landed, there was a cove or a cave or something that intrigued me that only I saw. I told Raven to come with me, and I told Valerie to come with me as well, but she was so determined to bring back something so she could study on Earth. I agreed to let her stay, but she promised to come back with us the second she had time. Me and Raven made a break for the cave. We wanted to know what was down there. There was a structure that was walkable, something sturdy enough to support both of us. When we reached what appeared to be the end of the cave, we saw something that was so disturbing it haunts me to this very day. We found 2 skeletal remains of what appeared to be humans, and next to them was a Vex skeleton. I assumed a battle took place here, but sometimes I wonder and think that maybe those 2 were down there with the Vex on purpose. We then heard a blood-curdling scream. No mistaking it. It was a woman's scream. We ran back to where Valerie was, only to find the most hideous sight I've ever seen. I found my friend completely cut in half, her entrails hanging by the mere muscles that were still hanging by her abdomen. Warlocks had a unique talent of healing, but nothing could have saved her. We then looked into her soulless eyes, and on top of the ceiling, directly above us, it was the Eye of Osiris, completely painted in her blood, and that made our stomachs churn. This drove our hearts into overdrive. We picked up Valerie's body so we could carry her back to my ship. I wouldn't want to leave her there and not give her a proper burial for her vanguard. But what we saw next instantly stopped our hearts. We saw a ghostly woman standing right in front of my ship, and she spoke. I am the disciple of justice. I am the disciple of judgment. I am the disciple of Osiris. She ran at Raven at a breakneck speed and screamed the most unholy scream ever heard. Raven died shortly after. The causes are still unknown to this day by me, but still, to see a man drop dead that fast was unreal. I rushed back to the Vestian outpost to tell my story to the other Guardians. Another fire team was dispatched to find Raven and Valerie and find this room I was talking about. But, to my dismay, nothing was found. No bodies, no blood, no rooms, and most disturbingly, no eye. Every night before I go to hibernation, I see that woman's face. I see her starting to scream at me, and I can feel the light draining from me. But I say this as a warning. If you ever go to the lighthouse on Mercury and you find this room, leave, or you might just end up like my fire team. Ex-Ranger here. We had a group of frat boys making way too much noise. We came by twice, and at the second stop, I told them, this is your last warning. Not only is it rude for other campers to be so loud, it's exceptionally dangerous. Everyone knows that the local mountain lions are attracted to loud noises at night. And these ghost cats, as they are called, can creep right up on you without you hearing them or seeing them. So whatever you do, don't leave your tent tonight. If you hear anything, don't make a sound. We went back to the station, grabbed the lion pelt from the interp center and the night vision goggles. Heard the ranger had to blow what was left of the budget at the end of the previous year. Once they were all in their tents, we crept into the campsite and made fake lion tracks everywhere. We set up the lion pelt propped up over some sticks. The other ranger got out of the PA and from a distance started doing fake lion calls, slowly getting closer. I pulled the jeep forward like we were arriving on scene and got out. I turned on my mag light and illuminated the silhouette of the lion pelt. Because I was moving quickly, the shadow of the lion appeared to me moving. At this point, the frat boys were losing it. Jim, the other ranger, shouted, "Stay in your tents!" followed shortly by, "She's coming around at us." And then, "There's another one!" And finally, "Let's get the fuck out of here!" At that point, we turned off the flashlights, grabbed the lion pelt in the darkness, and jumped in the jeep and sped off. Just after sunrise, they started peeking out of the tents. Nobody was brave enough to get out until about 8:30. When they saw all the huge paw and claw prints everywhere, they really freaked out. Damn, we really scared the shit out of them. I was a lone recreation ranger in a small district in southern Idaho. Nearest town from guard station was about 1.5 hours away by car. After moving into the guard station, solar power was not working, and I hadn't slept good for about a month due to various factors. Bats in the cabin, something walking on the deck at night. The woods there always had an eerie feeling to them, unlike the southwest ponderosa forest that I was used to. About 2 months into the seasonal job, I started to hear something walking and scratching on the deck at night, perhaps even on the door. Now this district was known for its badgers and beavers, so I didn't think much of it. But when leaving the cabin at night, I always had an eerie feeling like I was being watched. One night, I was returning from my grocery run, always went on Tuesday nights, and I had a bad feeling. At the time, I didn't have my shotgun in the vehicle. After stepping out of the vehicle, I looked to the right of the cabin. About 50 feet from my front door, all I could see were 2 eyes, about 3.5 to 4 feet in the air. To say I freaked out was an understatement. I started yelling, Get the fuck out of here! But the eyes only crouched down and inched closer. At this point, I could tell it was a large animal of some kind. Definitely not a coyote. I tossed a piece of firewood in the general area, and the creature leapt back a bit, but didn't make a sound. I tossed 4 or 5 more pieces, and the creature still inched forward. At this point, I fumbled with the keys, and of course, the fucking solar power was out again. I managed to get inside and grabbed my shotgun. Technically, you weren't supposed to have guns in government housing, but who the fuck lives in the hills of eyes, backcountry, and doesn't carry? I went outside, and the creature was a bit closer. I still couldn't get a good look with my shitty headlamp. I loaded my shotgun and continued to throw pieces of wood with one hand. Finally, the creature walked back into the brush. That night, I drank about 4 IPAs and slept with my shotgun. In the morning, a trail crew came and we found mountain lion tracks all over the porch, rocking chair, and compound leading back to the creek. After that event, I always heard the rocking chair move and someone or something walking on the porch, but never found any tracks after that point. Considering that it was always muddy up there, it was weird not to find any tracks. I've been stalked by mountain lions before, but I've never had that eerie feeling like I did in those woods. I'm sorry, Jason. I know you love your sister to death, but she's dead. No! Tell me. Tell me how she died, God. She was murdered. By who? His name is Ryan Downing Matthews. He's dead. He's fucking dead. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to fucking kill him. He's already dead. He committed suicide. Pathetic fucking bastard. Well, at least he's in hell. Fuck, can't believe it's almost been a month since Sarah's death, and she isn't even here with me. She should have just gone on living. God damn it, that stupid piece of shit killed her. Jason, I need to talk to you. What is it, God? I'm sorry to say that the person who killed your sister is alive, and he's on a killing spree. Ryan Downing Matthews. He got out of hell. You have to let me kill him. But before I ask any more questions, I want to know why he killed my sister. It was because he was inspired by a game of Fortnite to shoot up his school, and your sister was one of the casualties. You're telling me it was for a fucking game of Fortnite? Well, now you have to let me kill him. Not only for Sarah, but all the other people he has killed, and their families who have lost loved ones because of him. Fine, but only because he's a danger to the entire world. Also, Jason, you will have the same powers as him, because you got out of heaven. Alright, thank you so much, God. But where is he now? He's killing state troopers. That piece of fucking shit. I'm going to end him. But Jason, one more thing. What is it? If he kills you, you don't return to heaven or any other afterlife. You cease to exist. Forever. That's alright. I'm willing to put everything on the line for my sister. Oh, also here, take this battle axe. Thanks. Now, just step through this portal, and you will appear in front of him. Thanks for everything, God. No problem. Now, time to kill that bastard. Whoa, holy shit, where am I? I'm in the sky, and I think I see him. Yeah, that's definitely him. Time for him to die. Hello, Ryan Downing Matthews. What? Who are you, and how the hell do you know my name? Doesn't matter. I'm here to kill you. Time for you to die. Ha! Pathetic weakling. You had no chance. And now, I'm off to kill the President of the United States. Goodbye. No! How did he win? I'm sorry, Sarah. I let you down. Now, I'm gonna be gone forever, and I'm only thinking in my head, but goodbye, everything that I have ever known and loved, and most importantly, you, Sarah, because you were the most important thing in my life. You were my little sister, and I couldn't protect you. You were all I had. I died in a car crash, for fuck's sake. But I love you, Sarah. You're my baby sister. Well, goodbye forever, world.
I've always been terrible at Fortnite. My friends used to make fun of me and call me names such as Big Default and Noob while trying to get my first solo win, thinking that it was a good idea to keep landing at tilted towers and keep dying over and over. Finally, I decided to do some research on how to become a better player. So I typed Fortnite tips and tricks into the Bing search engine and clicked on the first YouTube link. Unfortunately, I was wearing headphones and the Alley A intro was too loud and hurt my ears. I spent hours that evening watching clickbait Fortnite videos in a poor attempt to become better at the game. Suddenly, a free V-Buck ad popped up on the video. The very quick and poorly made ad claimed to give free V-Bucks to me, and that would make me a better player, as I could buy the Battle Pass. I clicked the link and I was redirected to a very sketchy website where I needed to fill out a survey. I gave the website my username and password so they could give me my V-Bucks. I was promised 10,000 of them, which is a very good deal for free. I quickly launched up Fortnite. I was eager to get my V-Bucks. When I loaded up, I was surprised to not see my 10,000 V-Bucks. I was only given 666. I first thought that I would receive the rest of them later on, so I wasn't too disappointed. Before I went into another solo match, I had a quick browse in the item shop. To my surprise, there was a new demon skin for exactly 666 V-Bucks. So, like any rational person, I immediately bought it and then went into a match to show off my new slick skin. The battle bus was replaced with the transit bus from Black Ops 2. I thought to myself, holy shit, what a crossover. Matt Steve will be a fan of this update. As I dove from the transit bus, I noticed that the sky was pale red with black clouds, and that Loot Lake was full of blood. I landed at Tilted Towers, which now looks more like a ghost town. For my first chest, I found a common revolver and 5 bandages. Pretty wicked, I muttered to myself. I turned around and no-scoped Ninja, dealing 666 damage, killing him instantly. I dashed out of Tilted Towers unscathed, with a few bandies and a shopping cart en route to Haunted Hills. When I arrived at Haunted Hills, I noticed a new cave system and was curious by its eerie presence. It was dark and reeked of Durburger foot lettuce. I gagged. Like the absolute mad lad that I am, I coasted down the cave on my shopping cart. On my way down, I could hear a strange voice call out my real name. George, George, George. Each time getting louder and louder, soon becoming quite painful. I whipped up my headset but could still hear the voice, hollering my name with malice. I snapped my head around my room, trying to find out what is calling my name. Who goes there? Say it to my face, why don't you? I exclaim. The power goes off, and it went silent for a minute. All I could hear now was the sound of the default Fortnite dance coming from the corner of my room. I shone the flashlight of my phone onto the corner of my room, revealing a default skin with my face and no eyes. I was so shook from this encounter that I blacked out. I woke up in the back seat of my dad's Fiat Multiple. I asked him, what's going on? He replied, you've been diagnosed with phlegma. As I looked out my window, we turned into a place called Blue Beach Mental Asylum. It's been 7 months, and I can still hear the default dance, and I see him in my room every night. No one believes me, and the worst part is that I never even got my 10,000 V-Bucks.
I once got chased like you see in the movies. A little information about me. I'm an 18-year-old male student. To make a little money, I part-time deliver pizzas at night and on the weekends. Note that I ride a moped to take deliveries, so my top speed is about 50 kilometers per hour or 31 miles per hour. So here's the story. It's a warm summer night. Sun was almost set, so in some directions, visibility was very poor. I knew the street I was on very well, and knew narrow roads lay ahead of me. What I didn't know about was a car coming at me from the opposite direction, at a high speed with its headlights off. I simply didn't see them because of the sun blocking my eyesight. We almost had a top-speed frontal collision there, and with me being on a moped, I would have at least suffered from heavy injuries. I managed to dodge the car at the very last moment, and didn't hesitate to throw the good old middle finger at them for not turning on their headlights in those conditions. I still remember the car, a bright blue Fiat Punto with black rims. So, a few days later, I spot the same exact car, waiting at a yield sign for me and some other vehicles to pass. I was on my way back to the pizza place and had to make a left into the same street they were on. Time for me to mess around for a bit. Extremely slowly, I passed the front end of their car. As I passed the driver's window, I noticed it was rolled down a little bit. I peeked inside and saw the biggest, most terrifying-looking gym rat wearing the douchiest sunglasses ever. Next to him, a beautiful blonde girl. So the guy immediately starts swearing and calling me out, and I was like, "Bitch, come at me." I heard myself say it and instantly regret doing so because this wasn't the guy I wanted to get into a fight with. Sure, I'm a pretty tall guy, but this dude? Hell no. So I got away from that car as fast as I could, but a few moments later, I shit you not, the Fiat appears in my mirrors, the guy now chasing me. I was driving as fast as I could, but with him being in a car, he could easily top that. There was a roundabout coming up, which I knew I could take on easily while doing full throttle. The car, of course, could not. This slowed him down only for a little bit, but it only took the guy a matter of seconds to get at my back end. He was now tailgating me, and I was scared as fuck. This wasn't enough for him, and he decided to drive right next to me. Passenger window rolled down. shouting at me to stop so we could talk. Well, I wasn't going to do that. He was closing in on me, that girl looking at me the whole time, the car and me almost touching sides. At this point, I saw the golden opportunity, a side street on my right. I yanked the brake of the rear tire and power slid myself into the street. It wasn't my intention to lock the rear wheel, but I can assure you, that looked cool. But this wasn't the end, as a guy saw it coming and slammed the brakes too. Once again, he was right behind me. Suddenly, I saw a narrow alley on the left. I did a hard left in, and the blue Fiat knew he wouldn't fit. I drove back to the pizza place as fast as I could. I still sometimes spot that bright blue Fiat, and I hide or quickly turn into another street to avoid it as much as I can. I hope the developers see this story to hopefully get to the bottom of this. I know everyone will probably just scoff this off as another mere game creepypasta that never happened, but trust me, it happened, and it was so real I had to just write this down. Granted, I've already done this. You see, I didn't buy Sea of Thieves full price for the massive content it would hold. I didn't buy it for the extensive story. I bought it for the adventures I got to go on to then jot down for other pirate-themed stories or games I would want to make on my own in the future. But today, late at night, things took a dark turn, and I don't mean that just because it was happening at night in both the real world and the game world. Let me elaborate. I went through a rough time today trying to find an open galleon crew who not only have mics but weren't jerks ready to lock me in the brig. I soon found one, though I can't remember their usernames as I didn't get to play with them for long. Once we got through raiding one island for another skull to sell at an outpost, they soon left the game before we made it, forcing me to raise the anchor, lower the sails, and drive the ship all the way back to the main island alone. As it began going back and forth from the ship to the factions, delivering them the skulls as well as the other loot the crew also obtained before I joined, like rare tea crates, silver chalices, and other skulls. I saw far away that there was another ship. Now, this wasn't a closed crew in a private server, so I simply ignored it at first, as it could be another enemy player ship simply minding their own business. But as I climbed up the crow's nest to spy on them, should they want to grief me, I saw not only the ship seemed to be completely black in color, but the lantern on the back of the ship was flickering back and forth like a beacon or some form of long-range communication. Now, the only way to do that is if another player was turning the lantern on and off. I thought it was a mere joke, so I sent a reply by flickering my own lantern on and off. Then the black ship far away went dark for a moment, and the lantern in the back was turned on and stayed that way. Even when I spammed the X button on mine, I got no Morse code style response. Now, I was going to call it a day and turn off my console to go back to my computer, but since I still had time and had honestly nothing better to do, I decided to lift up the anchor of my ship and head straight for the black one. I mean, I've had times where I ran into friendly other players' groups, and even if they turned out to be jerks, remember, there's no penalty for death in Sea of Thieves, aside from waiting a bit in the Ferry of the Damned. It took a frustrating amount of time, though, as the wind was not in the right direction to provide the boost. In fact, the wind was actually going against the sails, as if trying to sway me not to go to the ship. Most of the time this happens, though, so I just put up with it. Now, I regret it. I realized I couldn't really see where I was going as the sails were in the way. I did spend some moments off the wheel to go to the nose of the ship to ensure I was going the right way, but It was getting tedious and I didn't want to run back and forth again, so once I got back to the upper deck to raise the third sail a bit to see, I went back to the wheel to realize I'm at the black ship's location, literally at the spot I even marked on the map of M20, on the northern side of the plunder outpost, but it wasn't there. Did the guy disconnect or something? And I thought, okay, looks like I came here for nothing. So I turned the ship around again to go back to the island when the waters nearby started to darken and the ship refused to move even though the anchor was up and the sails were down. From my experiences, this would mean that Kraken was going to come out of the waters and fight me. So I got my cannons loaded, and then the black ship somehow floated up underneath my own. My ship and its were combining into one, and I tried to get off, but my frame rate began to drop, and I began teleporting here and there. I soon made it to the middle of the ship and saw the flickering black lantern happen again, but I saw no one there doing it, so looks like I came across a unique glitch. I somehow had the weird instinct to endure through the lag to turn it off. Once I did, I couldn't remove my character or the screen. I soon heard an unfamiliar soundtrack. It was getting louder and louder, and then, with my hands off my controller, the camera turned around to hear an ear-splitting sound and a weird NPC that was as black as a ship in a frozen frame. But what creeped me out the most was the face of this dark entity. It had those pearly white eyes and teeth, and it just glared, showing no sense of anger, happiness, or anything, just endless staring. Luckily, I soon pressed the Xbox button at the front of my controller to turn off my console, and then turn off my headphones to stop hearing and seeing that. I decided to leave the game alone for several days, as I was both busy with real-life issues and this flickering lantern event scaring me a bit mentally. And it's just so strange how such a painful soundtrack combined with the face mixed in right enough to have it nailed into my head for a while. I figured sharing it with you all would help me overcome it, and I wonder, did anyone else deal with the same issue? If not, why me? Was this some glitch involving player characters as well as their ships, not properly detected from the server once they turn off their consoles? Was it a hacker trying to scare me? Was it a test of a new event, part of the upcoming cursed sails and forsaken shores happening in a rather empty server aside from me and my galleon? I don't know. All I do know is I'm going to sleep now, hopefully with less sweat and tears as I wake up tomorrow. Season 6. Season 6 of Fortnite was finally here. I had been waiting for Season 6 since the last few weeks of Season 5. And when it finally came out, you know I played the shit out of that. The first few days were absolutely amazing. The new skins were awesome. And I was just loving every second of it until some creepypasta type shit had to happen, and it fucked everything up. So, let me tell you what happened. It was about 4 days after Season 6 came out that I started to notice strange things going on. For example, that shadow stones were in the game for me when they weren't in the game for everybody else. Epic was still supposed to be fixing them for bugs. Small things like that happened at the beginning, until about a week later that the bigger things started to take a dark turn. The floating island above Loot Lake was surrounded by fire, and the ground, instead of looking like dirt and rock, looked like skeletons. Then all of the things that had been added to Fortnite started to change and look like something that was supposed to be in hell. All of the markings left by the cube were now even more freakier looking, and all of the buildings added to Season 6 now look like dungeons or something. This freaked me out, but what scared me even more was that the new skins changed into some kind of demonic looking version of themselves. And at this point, I decided to just stop playing Fortnite altogether. And this happened yesterday. And last night, after I went to sleep, I had some kind of nightmare about Season 6 and how I was killing people in mid-game, but it was real people. Then after I woke up, I had this urge to do something, or more like something was forcing me to do something terrible. So last night, I went downstairs into my kitchen, grabbed a knife, and went into my little brother's room and my parents' room. And I slit all of their throats in their sleep. So now it's morning, and I realized what I've done. And I'm just writing this as a warning to whoever downloads the update for Season 6 to just be careful, but I already fear I'm too late, because I feel it is happening to a lot more people, and if it is happening, every person who plays Season 6 of Fortnite is going to kill every single person that they love. Nate's POV. Tonight is preparation night. We've all been slaves, and now we get a chance at freedom. Just gotta enter the arena and win, right? Yeah, win. Win by killing people who were once friends. I want my freedom badly, and I'm well trained. I've seen what some of my fellow residents are capable of. Some are skilled, but most should be easy to take care of. But that's not what I'm worried about. I know the effect and feeling killing can have on a person. I felt it firsthand, and I don't want to feel it again, but I'm going to have to. Screw it. I'm going to head to the cafeteria now. I'm going to be stuck in the arena within the next couple of days. Might as well take in whatever food I can get. Cam's POV. The same old slop as always. They never serve us anything good. Just flavorless potatoes and rotted meat. I need the energy for tomorrow. Nate, Chris, and John are gonna count on me as the gunman. Nate's the leader and strategist. Chris is the scavenger, and John is a great scout. We are all good friends and have an important role to play. Good thing I've got aim. I turn around to see Nate with his cheesy emo cut and brown hair. What up, man? I say, extending my hand. Not much, just preparing. We shake hands. I breathe heavily and then ask, You ready? I know how hard this will be and how low our chances are. Ready as I'll ever be, I've studied the arena and I've decided where we'll land. I nod and let him continue. We walk towards a table to eat, and Nate continues with his plan. So the battle bus should be taking us by Tilted Towers. Not the best place, but there is a depot nearby in between it and then Snobby Shores. We can head there. It won't have the best supplies, but it'll save our heads. His plan upset me. We should head into the action and try to take out as many as we can. I say we go till the towers. I bellow out in rebellion. Nate looked at me as if I was stupid. Are you kidding me? Do you have a death wish? He says. Lots of people are gonna head there, and you'll be lucky if you land. Chris's POV. In the distance, I can see a dirty blonde head and a brown emo cut. Nate and Cam, I say. A dark-skinned figure who happens to be another one of my friends comes up to me. I bet they're arguing over plans, Terrence says as he sits beside me. Yeah, I bet. I think we could probably take Tilted Towers as a team, but Nate's trying to play it smart and keep us safe. He's most likely to keep us alive, and that's why he is the strategist. Terrence leaned back as he said this. Terrence said it best. There's so many things that could go wrong in the arena, and Nate is the only one, except for Terrence, who can keep calm under pressure. We've died so many ways in training, and Nate's the one who took in all the mistakes and learned somewhat. I earned the highest rank in scavenging, Terrence in scouting, Cam in weapons, and Nate in strategy. I'm not a strategist like him, but I know it's best we stick to our roles. We've got to be a perfectly synchronized team if we're gonna win. A couple hours later, we're all in our dorm. The last time we'd see this place. Sure, we were slaves, but the way we made this room and the shit that's gone on it, it'll actually hurt a bit to see them go. Just half an hour left till we go, Terrence said. Cam sits away, upset that we're not following his lead. So, everyone ready? Nate asked. Yeah, I responded simply. Alright, so the plan is still the warehouse in between Shores and Towers. Then there's a camp near Towers and close to the lake. After we head there, we can just follow the storm, Nate says to us. For a while, after we study the plan, there's just silence. Nothing to do but wait. Tonight's our last night, so we can try and get some rest. Terrence's POV. Chris and Cam are asleep, but Nate lies awake restless, probably deep in thought like he usually gets. Worried? I ask silently. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Well, talk. Best to get it off your chest before we enter the bloodbath. There's so many things that could go wrong in there, I know. But we'll have each other's backs so long as everything goes to plan. I responded. This doesn't seem to help, however. I'm not worried about us. I know we'll be fine, but these others will die. All these people we worked with, eaten with, laughed with, they're just gonna die because we want our freedom. And I don't think I could live afterwards knowing I killed these poor people. I denied their freedom because I was selfish and wanted it for myself. As troubling as it is, Nate is right. I'm dying before anyone else here. I care too much for all of you, he says next. It hurts to hear him say that. Doesn't he know we'd rather die than just see another one of us dead? Best just get some sleep. Keep those thoughts out of our heads and be ready for tomorrow, I tell him. You're right. Sure, you're not the strategist here? He asks with a sly smirk on his face. His sense of humor is what made us get along in the first place. I'm sure. Good night, man. I shut my eyes and soon everything is just black. Nate's POV. I awake in a field unaware of why or how, but the first thing I notice is the deaths of everyone in different agonizing ways. Different situations that all went wrong. Chris falling off a mountain, Cam being shot down, Terrence being annihilated by the storm, all the different scenarios playing out before me. It's just far too horrific to watch. Cam's POV. I'm the first to get up, and after a few minutes, Nate jolts upward, panting and soaked in sweat. It's just a small wooden hut with 2 bunk beds on each side. We could hear each other breathing half the time. I may have been mad at him before, but we're still allies and friends, and we're gonna have to get along somewhat to live. Bad dream? I'm sure I can guess what about. Nate only gives a slight nod. Well, let's wake the others and go eat. We'll need it. A little later, we're all at the public outdoor cafeteria we all share. It's basically just a bunch of benches on gravel, but the creaky wooden benches still provide a place to sit. It's not long after we're done when the loudspeaker starts going on, and we hear the words we anxiously awaited and dreaded hearing. Attention, all workers. The event is starting soon. All aboard the bus. It appears our time is up.